All right. Hey, everybody. Monday again, huh? All right. Let's roll.
Barry, just overall, what'd you think of Luke's performance bouncing back?
Yeah, I was impressed with the way he bounced back. Thought he played a nice game. Obviously, a few things we'd like to have back. Most of it was just probably just the delivery of the ball, but being cautious and being smart with the ball, and threw some check downs, and thought he was poised in the pocket. Thought he had a nice bounce back game.
What changed for you guys in the second half to have more ground success?
Yeah, we kind of found our stride maybe late in the third and fourth quarters. I don't know. I mean, I think the backs ran hard. We made some halftime adjustments, a few small things I think that helped us. Had good communication from the staff. I thought that I think that probably helped a little bit show up. But, we strained better and our backs ran harder and, the perimeter did a good job blocking. And, that was really encouraging to see. We ended the game in kind of 4-minute mode. And we were able to end the game with the ball in our hand, and that's always the goal when you get in those situations. So that's something certainly that we want to build upon.
Seems like the game changed offensively when you spread them out a little bit and sped them up and went up tempo. Was that an in-game adjustment, or was that the game plan?
Yeah, both. We had planned on being tempo at certain times during the game. We always have a certain element of like up tempo, like fast, and try to get between, depending on the game, 8 to 12 of snaps of those to where it's kind of the one word calls where you're playing with a little bit better pace and as we've learned our team and learned our offense, they've really responded to like 2-minute situations and like really fast tempo and playing simple fast football. And so after we had struggled a couple 3 series, I think we were 3 series into it, and we jumped into tempo of series 4 and had a really nice scoring drive. And so that continues to show up and continues to be something that I think our offense handles pretty well.
Bret said you went to him on Monday and said, I want to be on the field. And what led you to want to make that change? And how do you feel like it worked out?
Yeah, I mean, there's none of these. There's no magic pill for each week. Each is different. I think I said to you guys early in the season about my decision to go up. We felt like that was right for our team, and I did, and I did feel like that was right for our team at that point in time. And really, what it came down to is just that. We have not played the way that we need to play, and I felt disconnected from the team to some degree, and I just wanted to get back down there with them and go to battle with them. And so, was it good for us? I mean, it didn't. I don't think it hurt us, and I certainly didn't think it hurt us. And I liked interacting with the players and the coaches. We had good communication and feedback with the coaches, and Luke be able to communicate with him. I think that was a real positive thing. I'm very comfortable down there. I didn't notice anything different. I'm comfortable in both settings, but it's probably something I'll continue to stay down on the field for.
How have you addressed the offensive line? How have you assessed them? And what things can you guys do to help them, especially in pass pro?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I think that as we've kind of started to level off our movement of where guys are playing, settling in that lineup. I think week 2 of the continuity. I think it really started to show up late in the third and fourth quarter. I think we settled down and did some good things. We did. And obviously, one of the things that's happening is we're getting in too many obvious passing situations, and that's a tough situation to be in as an offense when everybody in the stadium knows that you're probably about to pass the ball. That's hard to do. We got to mitigate that. We got to be better on first down and second down, and as we hopefully. If we run the ball better and can run the ball better and make better decisions with the football early on and make better play calls, we can have less third and longs. And so that's the first thing that can help us is stay out of some of those obvious passing situations. And then there's different protection schemes that we can do within that to help our guys with 7-man, 6-man, chips, bumps. And we've used all that during the course of time. But that's certainly something that's got to be at a premium for us. We got to protect the passer. And I think we're getting better in that phase. Obviously there's sacks that are showing up that aren't acceptable, and it's all encompassing. It's not just one position, one person, not one person group. It's our offense. And that's that's the stance that we're taking on that to get those corrected. Is it's an offensive issue that's got to get fixed.
What impact does your familiarity with Ryan and Kevin have in game planning for Purdue?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, but it's not unique in football, and this stuff kind of happens. I've been a part of it one other time, and we just got to worry about us. And that's the big thing is we got to worry about putting our best foot forward, going on the road, playing the defending Big Ten West champions in a trophy game. We got to focus on putting our best foot forward, and that will be our focus, no matter how familiar or unfamiliar we are with who's on the opponent's sideline. Listen, our players deal with this all the time. They got players that they went to high school with, that they played junior college with, that they transferred teams with, and that happened last week, for some of our players, that they knew some of those guys from FAU. So, that's just something after the game, you shake a hand and say hello. Obviously much respect for those guys and how they go about their business. Certainly familiar with the structure and the defense, and there's familiarity on both sides that certainly will have a factor into the game, to some degree. But when it comes to planning, I think it's just like, okay, here's the structure of the defense. Here's what they like to play. Here's their identity, and now let's go see if we can attack it. Obviously, having a lot of time and practices to knowing exactly what that looks like is helpful to jumpstart the week. But obviously, both sides are going to have some things that we hadn't shown each other.
You're happy for Coach Walters. Obviously, you got this opportunity. But Coach Bielema has kind of said a couple times, kind of wish you somewhere else would have been better. You sort of felt like that's kind of you're going against your brother type thing.
Sure. Yeah, I think I would feel very similar to the way Coach would feel about it, and I got a lot of respect for him and a lot of those guys that are a part of that staff. And all that aside, like what's at stake for us is really important. The conference game, a road game, opportunity number 5, and I thought we made some strides last week. I thought there was some marked improvement last week in some areas. And, man, we've got to really make another week of improvement for us to go win this game.
A lot of talented wide receivers. What does Isaiah Williams give to this offense, and just what have you seen from his development at that position the last 2 years?
Yeah, he just keeps getting better and better and more. He works at his craft. He's all in. I think George has done a great job with his development, but Isaiah is also hungry and always trying to learn, working extra. Watching film, and he's a really special player that really good things happen when he gets involved in our offense. And obviously we were really intentional about that the other day, and that it reaped its benefits for us. And then obviously he made the play of the game. I think on the 50-50 ball deep there to turn the field around, we go score and changes the game. And it was an incredible play by him. So I just can't say enough good things about him. We just got to continue to find ways to inject him into the offense, getting the ball, because good things happen when he touches it.
What's it do for your offense when the tight ends are having the kind of day they had, both catching the ball and blocking? Yeah,
we got to have them ball. I think that was one thing that I left the other day. The field. And my wife even said this. She just said, it was fun seeing a bunch of different people touch the ball. Like just guys that, like Griffin and Tip and then Canary and, our receivers and different backs and Aiden. We use a lot of different people. And I think that's always a positive thing. So all of our position groups are really important that they touch the ball. We create even distribution. Doesn't mean equal distribution, but distribution amongst those position groups. But I thought the tight ends did a nice job for us on Saturday, made some nice plays, 2 big plays for us in the passing game, and then and did a nice job in the run game as well.
When Josh McCray is going like that, what does that add to your running back room, and then just even beyond him, what do you see from Caden and Aiden?
Yeah, it was good to get him going. I think that was the first time really all year that he's felt probably like he feels like he is. Like he ran well, he ran through tackles, did a nice job. Reggie ran hard. I thought all 4 of the backs impacted the game in a positive light, and that's a great thing. Thad's been saying that and believing that for some time, that we've got, now that we're going into week 5, that we got 4 backs that we trust, and I feel very strongly that that's true with any scheme, any run scheme, any protection scheme. We trust all those guys. So I think as we continue to go forward, that 4-headed monster is something that will continue to stay intact with us, I think.
Have all 4 of those guys, what's the key to, balancing or optimizing that rotation, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think some of it's specialized packaging, right, to where we know for certain guys are going to touch the ball, and then it's feel in the game. I know there's several series in the game, like Reggie will start the series, and Caden is basically the backup in the series in case something to happen or one of those need a rest and it goes on a long drive. And then there's certain series that Josh will start and Aiden's the backup, and if we have a sustained drive, then you could see. So I think it's a combination of like pre-scripted, premeditated, then it's the rotation based on how a guy's health status is, how the length of the drive is. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to look at the stat sheet at the game being over and all 4 of those guys touching the ball and having a chance to impact us.
Notably, you're able to get big plays. So some of those obviously were scripted, but to able to execute those big plays, what's that mean for your offense?
Yeah, listen, obviously the name of the game for offense is scoring, and that's the one thing that that's the one thing that we didn't do the other day. That that performance could have been or should have been a 31 to 35 point performance. And then listen, our job is to score one more point in the other team. I'm thrilled that we did that and that we scored enough points to help us win the football game as a team, right? Our defense did a phenomenal job bailing us out in a couple tough situations. But, you score, explosive plays are part of scoring drives, most of them. I mean, we want to be methodical, and we also want to control the ball and have a sustained drive. But it's really, really important to unlock scoring potential to have explosive plays. And we did that the other day. We did a nice job of that. And I think we have explosive play potential. When we execute well, we got enough players that can create plays. I think we got a quarterback that can create those types of plays, and we're going to need those on Saturday. We're going to need chunk yardage plays. They're not easy to come by in this defense or in this league. They're not, but it's important that you have them to help bolster your drives so you don't have to have a 14-play drive to go score. You can do it in a 7-play, a 6-play set, and that's the name of the game in football in general. Now, again, that's not what we're always chasing because explosive plays happen through execution. That's what they usually happen through, and opportunity, if the opportunity is called.
Specific you can point to where it was a 23-point game instead of a 30, 35-point game, just missed opportunities?
Well, yeah, missed opportunities, right? The first drive of the game, we get down there, and go forward and probably would like to have that call back just a little bit short, on the in the run scheme. So there's one that has a, potential 3 to 7 point swing. We throw a touchdown pass and it gets called back. Thought a great throw and catch by Luke and Pat. It gets called back, so there's 3 or 4 points, we turned the ball over twice to lose opportunity. It's just just a myriad of different things. I thought our red zone execution was, fairly good, except for the penalty they got. Anytime you get points taken off the board, it's a tough situation. I thought Caleb did a great job of getting us to 3. So it's a kind of a combination of all those things. But the bottom line is we got to continue to emphasize and stress our job is to score enough points to win the game. But when we have explosive plays like we have and we have the yardage that we had during the game, we need more point production in that, and we got to execute better.
Some of these turnovers that just maybe keep popping out.
Yeah, sure. We'll harp on it, coach it, correct it. I think everybody in the organization understands how important the ball is. We want to take care of the ball and create turnovers as an organization. And right now we're turning the ball over too much. And we kind of went through this phase a little bit last year, early in the year. There was a game, I think Virginia, maybe we had 3 or 4 turnovers during that game. And, our guys just did a better job of taking care of the ball. I got to do a better job putting them in positions to make sure the ball's not in jeopardy. But anybody that touches the ball has to understand how important that is. Our guys understand that. I think it hurts them when we turn the ball over. I know it does. Disappoints them. So beyond the emphasis of guys, we got to take care of the ball and the drills that we do individually, I think part of it is related to the scheme that's called to make sure we're protecting our players.
Coach, disguising coverages and pre-snap movement, it's always been a big part of Ryan Walters' scheme. Is this particularly tricky for Luke to recognize the coverages?
Yeah, it's a great challenge. That's what, I remember, obviously having some insight into the conversations of being here is just, I think, they did a great job designing the defense that they all sat down as a staff here with Coach B, designing the defense to disguise coverages for the quarterback and creates a unique set of challenges. But just like any other defense, there's methods to it. There's rhymes and reasons. And, that's the thing that the quarterback's got to do is just make sure they're focusing on what they need to focus on to get the tells that they need to get told, to be able to understand and dissect what the coverages are. But certainly a challenge in that regard.
Tight ends and how we're asked about it. Is there something unique about Henry Boyer at 6'6", maybe 270 that you can use him a lot? I mean, it seems like his production continues to go up and up.
Yeah. Well, obviously, being on the field helps you be productive, and so he was on the field a little bit more the other day than he was in the previous games because the flow of the game was a little bit more like kind of what we want to play, 11, 12 personnel, some 13 personnel, so he had opportunities to impact the game a little bit more because he was on the field more, caught a couple balls for us. And, Henry he's like I wouldn't say he's non-traditional as a tight end. I think he fits the bill as the body type, the bend, the flexibility, the ball skills. He's just a really big human that has good motor skills and has good hands. And that's a good thing for us, you know. So get in there in the C gap and keep getting away, being physical, and then quick balls and quick catching quick balls in the flat, horizontal stuff, short passes. That's going to be his forte, and he did a nice job of that for us the other day.
All good? Thank you, guys.
Good to see everybody.
All right, we'll start with a quick statement from Coach Henry, and then we'll take some questions.
First and foremost, how you guys doing? Hope all is going well. Obviously we won, right? At the end of the day, that's probably the thing I look forward to the most, right? Is a win, right? No matter how you got it. Really was intrigued by the game. The only thing I didn't like was the last drive. They picked up they converted 3 third downs that last drive. Had a bunch of young bucks play throughout the game, right? Guys had to step up. But you take away that last drive, and I'm probably a little bit in a much better spirit outside of that last drive. I thought the guys competed. I thought they fought hard. Guys was fighting through some illnesses. They battled. They teams have found ways to triple team Johnny Newton, which I'm surprised they took to game 4, game 3 to do it. And so I'm sure we're going to continue to see that, which means other guys have to step up. But at the end of the day, I'm excited that we got the win. We're going to continue to see more younger guys step up and really good roles for us. And so that's what I'm most excited about. And we start conference play. Like, everything that we want is still in front of us. And so it's a matter of preparing for our opponent who's ahead of us in Purdue and trying to go out there and be 1-0.
With the injuries in the secondary, whatever they may be for this coming week, but what are the growth steps for some of those younger guys, Toby and Kareem and all the others got in?
Absolutely. So we kind of go through this a little bit during spring ball and during fall camp. We move guys around a lot for these exact potential issues. We try guys at different positions, right? We move them around. We ended up putting them in their home spot, but the reason why we don't call them safeties or corners, we call them DBs, because the way our system is set up for guys to play multiple positions. And obviously had some guys go down at safety, right? Had some guys go down at corner. And so just continuing with these young guys coming along, man, making the game really, really easy for them so they can go out there and just play fast. You guys saw a lot of young guys come in and play. Zach Toby was a prime candidate of that, and he had been waiting for that opportunity for so long, and it just so happened it was against FAU. He stepped up and embraced the challenge, and you saw a thing of beauty come out of it. He made some really, really good plays, some things he can clean up, but that's just part of our system. We're turning out DBs for a reason, because we teach them multiple spots, and hopefully we don't have guys continue to go down. But if it does happen, we have the flexibility within our system to, whether it's move a guy out or move a guy in and rotate a guy, just to whatever we can do to put us in the best position to win at the end of the day. And so we have a lot of flexibility to do that in our secondary.
You said there would be a time that young guys got to step up. What stood out about Toby and Sabor?
Well, Toby didn't blink an eye, I coach them young guys hard, man. Like, I'm on them hard because I know what's to come. Like, a practice setting is one thing, but when the game comes, like, it ain't no, like, I can't prepare you for that in the manner of people in the stands and the team you're playing against. And so he had been waiting on that moment for so long, man. As you can see, he was the opportunity came, and he looked it in the face and did what he was supposed to do. And so Coach Vanellis has done a tremendous job in getting them prepared for it. And, we preach that all off season, we preach doing your job, no matter when it's going to be, and so some guys have had a lot more reps early on, and as the season kind of progresses, guys are going to continue to take reps. And so we always talk about taking advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself. And I think Toby was a prime example of that. Obviously, Sabor, right? He had some things he did really well. He had some things he got to work on, right? And so I was really ecstatic to see moments in the game with him coming a hand close to either making an interception or getting a PBU. Like, he did some really good stuff. Obviously, he's still a work in progress, just like all those young guys are. And so I'm really, really excited that we were able to get him in those environments this past Saturday, and we were able to win and learn from it as opposed to the latter,
Coach,
Put a lot of trust in Xavier Scott going one-on-one against LeJontay or Westerhead. Was there some consideration to double that guy, or?
Oh yeah, we doubled him every third down. All right, we doubled him every third down. If I could do it over again, I probably would have had a better plan to double him on early downs. Right, just the way they did a great job of utilizing them. Kudos to their coaching staff and putting them in the backfield and sending them in motion. So we couldn't get a beat on where he was at. But their coaching staff did a tremendous job. And the kid's he's a really good player. I know he's at FAU, but I mean that kid's a stud, man. Like that was a tall task for Xavier. For the kid had 100 and some yards, and all of them wasn't on Xavier. We wanted Xavier to follow him most of the time. But it was a couple of times Xavier didn't travel with him, and we kind of paid the price for that. So Xavier got an earful from me, right? And so just in terms of what we want, just in terms of how I want things to be done, and he's definitely learned from it. But that wasn't Xavier's best game. He'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Our coaching staff will tell you that. And so just I think with him, he's a young player as well. You know what I'm saying? And so being able to learn from these opportunities and experiences, and I know he's going to be better the next game he plays.
And obviously, Zach and Sabor have a lot of length back there. What does that add to you guys' secondaries, the measurables?
Yeah, man, it definitely helps. You know what I'm saying? I think anytime you got Tobe on the first play he got in, they threw a shot to him down the field, and between him and Miles, he was able to get his hand in the situation just because the good Lord blessed him with long levers, man. He's a long, rangy kid, and just like Sabor, man, and that's something you can't teach, right? You can teach a kid how to backpedal. You can teach him how to flip his hips, right? To a degree, you can teach him how to run or in the speed in which he runs at. But you can't teach a young man, right, to grow long arms, you know what I'm saying, or have long limbs in general. And so they just bring a different dynamic to our secondary. Obviously, the guys who are ahead of them are just a little bit smaller in stature, but they're all really good players. And so it's just a matter of making sure we're utilizing them in a proper manner because – right, what Toby lacks, and maybe he makes up for it in length, but he may not have the football awareness, just due from his experience that Taz has, right? And Taz plays a little on edge, and I think you have to when you're that size. But I think part of that will just come with the more experience he gets.
When's the last time you talked to Ryan, and what did he mean to you in your development to get to here?
That's my guy, man. That's my guy. I talked to Walt probably like 2 weeks ago. He texted me about the girls. Hope all is going well, man. But that's my dude, man. I know this game isn't about me or him, and I'm excited to play this game. But it's like obviously credit to Coach B, credit to him. I mean, like I'm in this position because of both of those guys, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't want to make this game about more than what it is. But that's that dude's family to me. Obviously, we're gonna have a chance to go and compete against each other, which I'm really ecstatic and excited about. And I know he's the ultimate competitor, just like myself. But, man, we got a great relationship. I know he wants to win just like I want to win. And so the goal is to go out there and try to give them all they can handle, man, from a defensive standpoint. And they got some really good players on that side of the ball. I'm really ecstatic for him because it's an opportunity for him and his family, right, to be a head coach. I know he always had those aspirations, but just to lead a group of young men, with his staff and his team. And so I wish Coach Walt the best, man. I'm really excited for him. But at the end of the day, right, like outside of it being Coach Walt, like it's a rivalry game. Like this is something bigger than me and Walt and Coach B and Walt. Like this is a rivalry game. Like you can take all the records, throw them out the window, everything that's happened before, you can get rid of it. And it's been a long history in this game. I do think there's an added element there, obviously, but at the end of the day, anytime you're playing a rivalry game, you expect both the teams to show up, full metal jacket.
Set of it aside, is it harder to scheme a little bit, knowing that they know you and you know them?
I wouldn't say it's harder. I think it's I think you just have to do what you do really, really, really well. Everybody know we play man to man. That ain't no secret, right? Like that's just what we do. That's how we do it. And the goal going into that game and playing against these guys is how do we match up against them? I think we match up pretty well against them. They got some good wideouts, but I think we got good defensive backs. And so it's going to give us the opportunity to go against some really good talent. Anytime you get in this conference, you're going to play against a plethora of really good wide receivers. And They got talent on that side of the ball, you know, like any other team does, right? Like Toledo had talent on that side of the ball. Kansas had talent on that side of the ball. FAU had talent on that side of the ball. And so now you're going into a stretch of games where everybody's going to have talent. It's just a matter of matching up and doing what you do better than they do what they do. You know, it's going to boil down, at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to fundamentals and technique, right? Fundamentals and technique. Fundamentals and tackling, right? Technique with your eyes, right? The proper adjustments. Can we get aligned properly? And then trying to create takeaways, right? Trying to give our offense more opportunities with taking the ball away, because I don't think we've done that this year enough.
Are you finding week by week that Kiana is somebody that you can trust more and more as he gets more and more experience?
You said who?
Kiana.
Kanena. Oh, yes, sir. So I just want to speak to Kanena for a second, man. Like, Kanena's so special because the first couple of weeks he didn't play that much. But I like looking at the TV copy of games as well as the XO's copy of it with no volume. And that dude is like the biggest cheerleader on the sideline, man. Like, he's jumping up for his teammates. He's ecstatic for his teammates. He played a lot of reps on Saturday because I felt like that schematically he helps us. And so I wanted to get him out there, and he rose to the challenge, man. He made some plays, dude. I'm like, we got to keep his kid on the field in every capacity that we can do it. And so testament to him, never wavering in his confidence and his belief in himself. And, you know, I know we live in a society now to where a kid doesn't play the first couple of games, the first thing they think about is the portal, right? Or they run to their coach, or that kid came to me and said, Coach, how can I get better? Came to this coach and said, how can I get better? Right? Give me 1,000 Kanenas, right? Give me 1,000 Kanena Odalugas who they just want to be better at their craft. And when their opportunity comes, they don't waver from it. They walk into it, and they're a great light for the younger guys that are coming behind them. And so I'm ecstatic for Kanena. I'm ecstatic for the guys who are behind him. I'm ecstatic for Kanena moving forward. But I think that's a testament who that young man is.
So cardio play a little bit more. Okay. What went into that, and what'd you see from it?
That's my secret weapon, man. I was trying to hold him off into certain games. No, you know, so the way I operate just from a defensive standpoint, man, it ain't like it could be a new guy in there Saturday. I don't care. I tell the guys, I don't care who's the starter. You got to show me in practice, though, right? And so over the first fall camp and the first handful of practice, first couple of weeks, Nicario didn't show me that. He didn't. Like, mental errors, like wasn't doing what he's supposed to do, doing too much. Bro, just do your job every week, coach. What do I need to do to help improve? Just do your job, man. Like, it ain't no secret sauce in it. And his opportunity came. His opportunity came because obviously somebody went down, and it was a rotation there, and I felt like he was going to give us the best opportunity, and he relished in that, man. He never wavered. He's always been a film junkie, but to see him pour into some of the young guys, like he was still like, for a guy to transfer into here, right, don't play immediately. He could have turned his back on the program. He could have cried about not playing. Like, he didn't do that, at least not to me, right? He knew what he needed to work on. He got better every single week and improved, and I think the testament of that was Saturday. I never seen that young man so calm. He is not a calm person. He ain't calm at all. I never seen him so calm on game day, asking questions. Like, he's matured so much in the span of the last 6 months, man. Like, it's incredible how much he's matured, you know. But just the way he's handled himself from an academic standpoint. Now, I think we had an academic report last week. That joker had straight A's, which was not to say he wasn't a straight A student, but I'm telling you, he wasn't a straight A student prior to that. All right, but to see that gave me a sign that he's taking care of his business off the field, and it just parlayed to the stuff that's on the field. And I think a testament of it is what took place Saturday, right? He was properly aligned. He was making the right calls. He was adjusting. I got on him a little bit because I thought he was going to return that interception to X-tackle him, but, I mean, he's improved every single week. Now, he still has a long way to go, right? He's not perfect by any means, but I think that's a testament to the program that coach has built, right? Like, we're bringing young men in here, right, who have done things a tad bit different where they were, and now they come in here and they have it's just different. It's a little more structure. It's a little more this in certain areas, and so just trying to get them to buy into it fast, and I think they have, right? And I think Nicario's a testament to that. And so I hope he continues to play well. If he continues to play well, I think our defense is going to play well.
What do you know about Graham Harrell and the scheme? Is it the typical air raid that we've seen at Purdue over the years?
Well, I think it is a typical air raid, but they got two backs who are legit, right? They got two running backs, man, who can hit their head on the goalpost. And so do they want to get the ball out in space and throw it to their guys? Absolutely. And they got some wide receivers and some skilled guys that can take the top off the defense. But I think what makes them a tad bit different is they have some backs that are very, very, very unique, right? They run hard. They try to find vertical seams and spread you out to run it a little bit. And so obviously I think Coach Harrell has done a great job with that offense, but it's going to be my job this week to just try to make sure we limit them, right? I think they operate on a lot of explosive plays or getting guys the ball in space and let them do what they got to do. And so it's going to be a fun task this week, man, in a rivalry game to have an opportunity to play against those guys and see how our guys match up, because I do think we match up well against them.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have to wait for my DC to get done talking. Has the gift. Yes, he could. I could have stayed back there a half hour. Got done with the game on Sunday and recognized several players, especially on offense. Gave a lot of credit to our running back room, just those four guys in general. The way the game kind of played out. We talked about establishing identity and playing with some physicality. And Reggie was the first off the bench, then Josh. Obviously, I think the way the order went, Caden was the next one in, and then Aiden. But I thought all four of those guys affected the game, and to have that kind of come through was really, really good. I did think Luke, in retrospect, looking at the game film, I liked the way he handled and managed. There was a couple things that he created on his own. Really, the big play to Caleb or to Griffin Moore. He was there and had to extend the play a little bit and made it happen. And then one of the first touchdowns where he kind of made it happen with his feet was pretty impressive. And then also Isaiah Williams, just another good example. When that guy touches the ball, he not only excites the crowd base, he ignites our players as well. And when he plays well, we play well. So excited to see that. And then defensively, there were a lot of really positive things. I thought Keith Randolph probably played one of his best games. Now this group did have a plan for Johnny. They were doing a lot of things that were drawing attention to him, which when that happens, especially as an interior D lineman, that's got to free up other guys. So hopefully that is something that continues. I know it gets frustrating for Johnny, but it can be rewarding for others. And then a guy, Kanena Adelaga, just is a guy, again, that has just kind of silently done his business, has continued to play really well. But I think between Tariq, Dylan Rosiak, and Kanena, and now you throw Josh Kreutz in there a little bit, those four guys at the inside backer position are very, very unique. All of them kind of have a different skill set, but fun to watch that group continue to grow. So, and then just the way the game played out, Taz was out after the first half. T. Strain rolls his ankle, forced a lot of those young freshmen into action. I thought they handled it very, very well. So we put the game behind us pretty quickly on Sunday. Obviously did enough things to correct and review offense, defense, and special teams, but jumped into our Purdue preparation, actually shortened our review time and extended our preparation time on Sunday. Today we'll have the day off, but our guys I know are chomping at the bit to get back into really an 8-week window here, 4 weeks in a row, then a bye week, then 4 weeks in a row. Both segments have 2 home games and 2 away games for us in Big Ten play, so to get this opportunity to go on the road and play the defending Big Ten West champs, I think is something that they're excited about. Give a lot of credit to Purdue. The last 2 years we haven't come out on top in a trophy game. It's something that I think our guys have talked about for a long time, so excited for the opportunity this week. Health-wise, I think everybody, for the most part, should be with us. Reggie and T. Strain, who had kind of lower leg injuries, weren't as significant as we may have thought at first. And those guys, if they don't practice tomorrow, should be fully engaged with us on Wednesday. Taz really was just a day issue. Taz had pretty significant sickness. He didn't practice Thursday or Friday, had over 100-degree temp, kind of that had been floating around us a little bit, and that kind of steamwheeled on him on Saturday, so wouldn't expect any problems or issues back with him. So other than that, I think we should be full strength for Saturday.
How does familiarity between the two staffs, schemes, play a role?
Yeah,
this
you
week?
know, again, I tell Josh all the time he's getting a bargain with me at 53. I've been through a couple of these. You know, my first D coordinator job, I was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, but I had been on the Iowa staff with Kirk and that whole entire defense staff. Phil Parker and I were on the original staff with Kirk going back to the day. So I've done a lot of these crossover moments, and then obviously when I became the head coach, you know, some commonalities of coaches you've been around, played around. I remember when I was at Wisconsin as a head coach, we faced Mike Hankwitz, who was the defensive coordinator for me, and he went on to become D coordinator at Northwestern. So there's a lot of these times where you have familiarity. This is an easy one just because Ryan was here last year and a couple guys on their staff. But I think these are things that come up more than you probably think from the outside world. We've been really talking about this game from last year's season in to where we are because we knew it was going to be the first Big Ten West opponent of the year, and it was going to be the beginning of an 8-week window of all conference play. So I think that's the bigger issue, maybe so than who's on their staff.
When's the last time you talked to Ryan?
To Ryan?
Yeah.
Talk to him? I know I talked to him the Saturday before we got going, just because I usually give that to our coaches, and I remember I called him just because I hadn't really talked to him that summer, and just wished him luck going into the season. But I think that was the last. I don't think I've talked to him on the phone. Maybe shot a text or two, but that's it.
Head coach.
Oh yeah.
You've said you didn't really want him to go to Purdue necessarily, but because it was, you know, some tension there or whatever.
Yeah.
You're playing him, but does anything surprise you about, you know, what he's been able to do or?
I don't know what I said or didn't say. I was happy for Ryan. I mean, I called Purdue. Yeah. Yeah. I think the only reason that I might have said that is just it's a Big Ten opponent, and you have the desire to have people that you care about have success. But when it's in your division, that's not the case. But other than that, no, I think you really do learn to put these things aside. I remember the first time I ever had this really happen was I was a D coordinator going to Iowa, and you know, if actually going into that day, if we won that game, we were going to be Big Ten champs. I think we intercepted the first 2 third-down passes, played pretty good defensively, but Jimmy Leonard was my safety, which made it a bit easier. But that one was tough just because of all that during the course of the week, and I really learned how to, that point forward, that's been over 18 years ago now, right? Like, it's really not a big deal.
You want that tree to grow, your coaching tree, obviously, right? That's a great thing, right? You with that?
You know, I hire 10 coaches every year. I want every one of them to be a head coach. I think I learned that quote from Hayden Fry early on. He hires coaches who he hopes want to become head coaches. I think some guys have it, some guys don't. I would say on my current staff, I probably have 4 to 5 guys that I think will probably be head coaches eventually. When that happens, how it happens, that's in it. Again, you go from life lessons. I remember having a conversation with Paul Christ after we'd been together 4 or 5 years. His name had come up on some things. There was a job open at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. I knew the AD. I let Paul and the AD interview at my house because they both wanted to be off record kind of. So I set it up and let them interview in my house and let them cross paths. It didn't end up happening. But then when Paul eventually became the Pitt job, I remember specifically walking down to his office and saying, hey, do you want this one? I know Coach is tied into their Coach Alvarez at that time. And we did everything we could to get that job. And that's Dave Dorn when I helped him get the Northern Illinois job, when he was defensive coordinator for me, Chris Ash getting the Rutgers job, Charlie Partridge getting the FAU job. I get calls all the time. The search firm that did the Purdue job, I introduced Ryan to the director of that search firm a year prior. So, there's just, if you hire good coaches, you know what's going to happen. It's just you just don't know when.
Really complimentary Nicario Harper, just to maybe his
Of what?
Nicario Harper in
yeah.
terms of his development and probably personal growth.
Yeah.
What would you see out of him, and what can he add to you guys?
You know, I say this all the time. Everything adds together, right? 2 + 2 = 4. So doesn't 3 + 1 or 6 - 4. 6 - 2 is 4, right? Like you can get to different numbers easily. Nicario Harper, we had an academic meeting every Thursday, and he had 2 A's in the classes that he was in. He's a grad transfer guy, right? And I walked up to him on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week because I knew he was going to be his first start. And I said, 2 A's, huh? And he looked at me and he goes, what do you mean? I go, you got 2 A's going in grad classes. I go, when was the last time he had 2 A's in grad classes? And he just smiled. He goes, I've never had 2 A's, Coach. And I'm like, I go, it's the same reason I think you'll have success on Saturday, right? Like, he just has learned how we do things here. There was a point last spring where I got to have an academic meeting. It wasn't really as pleasant as that. And I kind of said, listen, this is how we do things. And if you buy into this and follow it, you'll be rewarded forever. And he's been doing that. I thought he played with incredible poise. Really, the week before, he made a play on a tight end route that really jumped out to me that I'm like, okay, he's listening, and, he's got incredible talent. Early in his career, he was very, very well thought of at a couple other places he had been athletically, physically, and be able. I wish I had him for 2 or 3 years because I really think his potential is pretty high.
There doesn't appear to be any clear-cut favorite in the Big Ten West. Have you talked to the team about the opportunity they have to maybe to win the division, or is it one game at a time?
Yeah, again, we've known each other going on 3 years now, right? Like, we focus on the task at hand. We always talk big picture items, in general, but I think, like I said at the beginning of the press conference, we've been talking about this for a while because it was our first opponent in the Big Ten West that we were going to play. It's the first in a little run here. Obviously, we come back, play Nebraska, then Maryland, even though they're in the other division, a pivotal game, and then to come back and have Wisconsin. So 3 of the next 4 are Big Ten West. So if you try to jump to one before the other, it's never going to work.
Played a lot of your younger guys the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. What have you learned about your couple of recruiting classes?
Yeah, we kind of actually had that conversation this morning, Monday. We like to kind of take a big picture look on Mondays, and we listed several guys on both sides of the ball, offense, defense, and then special teams. Our 2 best special teams players right now are probably Jaheim Clark and Josh Kreutz. James Kreutz. And it's just those guys get contagious, and then you saw James make a couple plays on Saturday on defense as well. Like, usually players break into their mold, especially defensive players on special teams units. But I couldn't be happier to get Caden Fagan and Aiden Lawfrey involved in the game plan, and to see Aiden score. I literally, have felt that coming for a while, and then I literally can't even imagine what was going through Caden Fagan to see that end zone right there and to see uninterrupted, but to way to win that game. Once we took a knee, that basically sealed the victory, barring any center QB exchanges. But like, we knew that was, we put ourselves in grind to get down, and for him to execute that in that moment says a lot about him.
Balance for that, with the field goal that you guys left a couple seconds on earlier in the season, just in case there was a bad exchange.
Yep.
So what's the balance for understanding maybe a bad exchange could happen?
Well, a bad exchange between a quarterback and a center is completely different than a kicker. But at that point, when they took over, when we got a first down and they still had 2 timeouts, I knew the number we needed to get to make the game on a win. And when we stopped, I believe it was 2nd and 5, they had 1 timeout. That's when I know what it was. It was the play before Josh McCray went out. We told Josh if he got a first down, he could grind to get down. And then, so Josh, I knew it because Thad and I had a conversation. And then Josh went down after that first down carry, and we put Caden Fagan in. And obviously, everybody's probably, hey, it's this big moment, 4-point play. And I said, does he know grind to get down? Which means if he gets a first down, if he takes a knee, we win the game. And they were letting him score, right? Because they knew the situation. They knew they couldn't win the game anymore. So they were trying to let him score. And I think when that safety came up and kind of did one of those passerbys, and he knew enough to get down. Somebody pointed out to me that the social media was having a fun thing that we should have scored there. And I've seen teams score in that situation. Literally within our conference here in the last couple of weeks, there's been some teams that score at the end of the game, which puts you at risk. The only way we could lose that game was by scoring, because if we scored and we kick off, they score, and they got an onside, they get 2 scores, they could still win. And most people don't see that, but I understand it, and that's why we did it.
When we asked about Aaron about KO, he just mentioned his attitude and his resolve to kind of trust in the building and trust in the process, and that's why he had success on Saturday. Did you kind of see that when you were looking at him, that his attitude and his work ethic was always going to be?
Kanena has been awesome since he's got here. Last year he was kind of a sub-package player for us. He actually played kind of nose in a weird kind of way, what we asked him to do. I just go back to his recruitment. I remember calling Coach Lynch. I think he was committed to an Ivy League school, if I'm not mistaken, and he was going there. And Tell me about this kid, this coach, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy that does everything right. I don't know if he's a linebacker, but I know he's an athlete who can run. He'll do everything you ask of him. Since that point, everything Coach said has panned out. I don't think we went into Saturday thinking you're going to get 40-plus plays, whatever it was, but it kind of played out that way, and he's just so conscientious, so intelligent. This past summer he went on a mission trip to Africa, and I let those 3 guys that went on that trip came back, and I let them address the team. And Kanena, his background, his family history, and everything that went into it, the way he talked up in front, I was like, okay, this guy's got leadership skills on top of that. He's also now one of our SAC leaders. We recently got to nominate a player for a Big Ten conference committee that's one player from every team, and I nominated him just because I think he represents everything that's right about us.
Well, you evaluated the offensive line.
Yeah.
How can you help them?
Just get better. I think we'll obviously, we're always constantly looking at players that we can plug and play. But Zai and Isaiah, I think for sure on the right side feel that they can get better. I think also Hunter Whiteneck, Jordan Slaughter, between them and maybe Barlev, seeing if they can help us out in a certain capacity. But Julian Pearl played really well over on the left side. Geske probably played again his best performance at this point. So Isaiah Adams really played well at times. There were some things that I know he wants to clean up, but I couldn't be happier about the growth that they made. I know it wasn't in everything that we saw, but there were definitely a lot of things they did well. We just got to get them to be more consistent.
A few times with transfers, you just wish you could have had them for 2
Yeah.
or 3 years. I mean, are there things you can tweak on the recruiting front to find these guys earlier, or are you just always going to miss somebody?
You take Nicario, he's a guy that's from Atlanta originally. We don't really go into Atlanta heavy. It's an overly recruited city, and for us, we couldn't defend number 1 out here for them, right? And he was a blue shirt walk-on at FAU, right? Another good reason why we probably should hit Florida more and more, because they're just pure numbers down there. You go into a county in Florida and you can literally kind of go into a certain school and there may be 5 or 6 Division I kids for you to evaluate, and then sometimes in those rural areas you get, and every city's got 1 or 2 guys where so we as a coaches, we really recruit the Midwest. Anybody that touches us, we recruit Florida and Jersey, and the rest of it will have to go through the portal. So I don't think Nicario would pop on our roster. Clayton Bush, again, he's another kid that's from whatever town Western Kentucky's in. I don't think he would have been up on our radar. Some of the Illinois kids that we're getting as bounce backs, I think that's for sure happening. We get contacted. We've already been contacted this year with guys that we've recruited during my window of being here the last 2 years that are at places that aren't playing, right? Or maybe they're playing, they're not happy where they're at. So I think that's the stuff that's going to start coming back to us now. We said since we got here, we're going to recruit every kid in the state of Illinois that we feel can help us win a championship. But we didn't win all those recruiting battles, right? So now I think you're going to begin to see kids that are a year or 2 into programs that it maybe wasn't what they thought, and maybe that we're a little bit better than they thought we were going to be. And I think that's when we're going to start to get some of those dividends.
Brett, last week you were talking about finding identity, finding your strengths. Any more clarity there after another game?
Absolutely. I think anytime especially defensively, I thought, I didn't want to see it, but when we made that defensive stand down there, 4th down, we get a, stop. Offense goes out, 1 play turns it over, and we go back out and stop them 4 plays in a row. To hold an offense inside the 15-yard line for 18 plays, or for 8 straight plays without a score, that's something you can hang your hat on. Offensively, I think obviously it didn't start out great. We started out good. We went down the field on a 4th and 2.5. I think we thought it was probably a 4th and 1, so we can definitely get better on what we want to get done there, but the idea was to be aggressive and try to come away with a touchdown on that first one, so that's why we went for it, but we didn't get the first down, so that put us behind a little bit there, but to be down 10-0 to have them respond and the big play hits. Griffin Moore is a guy, I give Barry a lot of credit. Barry's been in love with Griffin Moore since he got here, just to what he brings, the attitude, the skill set. Tip Ryman to hit a big pass play. I think we've been waiting for Tip to kind of break out of that moment. Reggie hit a long run. Josh really ran with purpose. I think Luke, sitting where he was a week ago, to come back and play the way he did and created some things with his feet. I think it's a different demeanor to watch that on film. Special teams, I thought David Alano came in and sent a message about what he can do with his leg. Declan Dooley, I was within a hair of a chin and putting him in. He booted 3 punts in a row last week, over 60 yards. So, a guy that really has been impressive and excited for us to see. So there's some things you see, but there's also some things you guys haven't seen that I think are coming.
David will continue to handle those kickoff duties moving forward?
I do, just because David Alano is a very confident player. I sat him down after week 1 and said, hey, we're going to go with Caleb as the first string field goal and kickoff, but you're right there. Just keep doing what you're doing. He had a couple of good weeks, and I talked to him. I said, hey, I see it. We got 4 games that we can play with here to use you and not use your redshirt year. And he looked at me and goes, I'm not going to need a redshirt year. I don't know how many freshman kickers say that, right? So, I just, peace up. I agree with you. Let's go. So he's just a very confident, very, very diligent, really competitive kid. Yeah.
Partner getting a personal foul penalty, sorry.
What's that?
A punter getting a personal foul penalty.
A punter?
Yeah, when that happened. How's it go over with you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously no personal fouls are ones, and that one, obviously near the sideline, I think just got frustration run over, but yeah, if you want to write an article about a punter getting a personal foul, go ahead. Yeah.